What's up YouTube, Malawet and Matt here. Yes, we're back to me face with backdrop. Health is getting better again, so I am going to start trying to do a few more of the actual talking videos rather than just chucking up an army of games. And we are going to start off with Lyrical Set 2 deck lists. I know that the Clan Collection ones are long overdue, and I want to apologise profusely for the delay behind them. I am going to be getting them out next week based on Nation, so please do watch. They will all be out, hopefully, before Fan Collection drops on the English side, but whether I can get them out in time or not is a different story. But to start off with, we are going to be going through all the Lyricals. I'm going to be doing 5 reruns from last time, who were in the main set, 2 new lines, and grade 3 and grade 4 Kyrie. I'm only going to be doing Black Wings for Celestial because I'm still not sure on how I want to deal with White Wings Celestial yet. And even then, the Black Wings Celestial, I will say, is not my list. This is a list provided to me by Gurgit-san, who I am very thankful for providing me with the list. Let's start off from the top, which is, unironically, the Celestial list. So, lists are going to be appearing over here as we talk about them. So, as you can see, the changes from this list is we have got the new double rare and triple rare for Celestial support along with Sweet X Sweet in here. So, triple rare is really good for the fact of it fixes up the bind zone for you, so you can actually cycle Elkeels out now every turn. Because you can, this is got the skill of on place, choose a card from your bind zone, put it into your hand, and put a card from your hand into the bind zone. So what you can do is, start of ride phase, Celestial takes the Elkeel into your hand, then play this down, put Elkeel into the hand to the bind zone. And you can do that, bouncing the new grade 2 every single turn, due to the fact of you have got a Mamiel to bounce it with. The double rare one, which is the one on the second row, is a 10k attacker from the back row. So obviously with the combination of Celestial giving minus 5k to the Vanguard and the triple rare giving minus 5k to the Vanguard, it being a nice 10k attacker from the back row is really nice. It's multi-attack for Celestial, really strong effects. We do also have the other edition of the grade 0, which is a 6k booster and shares similar skill to Mamiel. At the end of the battle, this unit boosted, you can bounce it back to your hand, so it gives you extra bouncing, protecting yourself from Gravidia and other on-retire effects during your opponent's turn. Really solid card. Sweet X Sweet is the new order that came out in this set, which is Counterblast 1, check top 5, and call any card from amongst the rearguard circle. Really good in this toolbox of a deck due to the fact you've got a Mamiel to then be able to bounce whatever you've called back to hand, helps you find your combo pieces, and on all-around deck thinning. Really good card, and honestly going to be a long time staple for most of the Lyrical decks. Next up, we have got Ernest Correct leader Clarissa. Clarissa didn't get much in terms of updates, but she did get a few little bits in the names of the Regina and the grade 3. Don't know her exact name, but she rests herself. If you've got 5 different Ernest Correct names, you can grab aim to be the strongest order from the drop zone back to your hand. So because of her alone, we have dropped the orders down to 3 because we're getting the guaranteed one off of Clarissa for riding up, leaving 2 more in deck along with 2 copies of this grade 3, giving you access to 4 copies of the order after that first activation, plus the fact of also the grade 3 technically returns to deck as well. So when you shuffle it with Regina or with Evelyn, you can redraw into it again and get it back out again. You will have noticed, obviously, we've trimmed down on Regina, on the Catarines and the Trilbies. Reason for this behind this is more the fact that we've now got Regina, which is an extra Ernest Correct searcher, and it also can be played from the turns of turn 1, turn 2, because its cost is a Soul Blast. All it needs to do is boost an Ernest Correct whilst having a Clarissa Vanguard. So it can help you find your missing combo pieces, which is really nice. Can also grab you a Persona Ride if you need to as well, so you can get extra pressure with the deck. We have gone, obviously, sticking with the fronts in this deck, because we are an aggro deck. We're drawing so much is from Clarissa's skill anyway. So having the 20k fronts is a really good sign. Next up on the list is Felty Rosa. Felty Rosa got one of the bigger changes for the fact of, obviously, we've drifted back from the gem engine into the pure Felty Rosa. The reason for this is we aren't using so much soul now, because we've got better grade 2 attackers, so we're not relying on the 4 Eleanors to cycle out your front row. Really good one for this is the new triple rare, which on place, new rearguard circle, you can soul blast one, choose a ghost normal unit from your drop zone and call it to your rearguard circle. This is really good for grabbing the grade 1s that you need for boosters in the early game. You can grab Ingrid from the drop zone to go and get a free counter charge out of it, because of Ingrid's skill saying when she's called from anywhere that's not the hand, drop zone cancelling that, so it's really good. Also, if she's called in the battle phase, you can technically soul blast a Heilwig, then call the Heilwig back out again, and Heilwig will then put himself into soul. So you literally on place draw a card, which is really solid for the deck. Grade 1s have changed up a little bit, as we have now got a new grade 1 booster, sorry, who gives herself 5k and then returns whatever she boosts back to the bottom of the deck. Obviously, this can then turn your spare copies of your Herminias and your Ernestas you don't need into 18k columns, 28k on Persona Ride, making magic numbers. Obviously, with the fact of cutting down on the Eleanors, we have also dropped out the Annalises, because they are just literally no need for them. And obviously, swapping back to the Felty Rosa Rideline does help us actually guarantee when we're doing the first grade 3 turn, we will have a ghost on the top of our deck due to the Rideline skills. All in all, really interesting. I have stuck with more draw triggers than crit triggers in this deck, due to the fact of, if your Vanguard gets perfect guarded, and you don't have a front row, crit is a lot worse than draw. That's my logic behind it. Again, these are all just example lists, you do not have to follow them. Next one up is Laurol. Laurol, honestly, can get away without being updated outside of just adding in the effect crits and draws. But for this example list, I have put in 2 copies of their new triple rare, which has skills based on the orders you've sung that turn. Main ones being the Madder Red Runway and the 6-flower Fractal. Madder Red Runway lets her bounce herself back to hand again, so it makes her a nice 8k boost that bounces back to safety. Whereas if you summon 6-flower Fractal, you then get to ditch a card and draw a card. Obviously, this is better done after the restand from singing 6-flower Fractal with Laurol. But all in all, really solid card, but there's just lack of space is the issue with this deck. Because you've got so much you need to fit in this deck for it to work, that she's just more than likely not going to be included for the sheer fact of lack of space. Because you do need your Elmers, you do need your Eknoas, and if your options are between cutting down on Audrey, who's a 13k attack on her own, or this that's reliant on your songs, Audrey is going to take preference there. Next one up is Willister. Willister got a lot of updates in this deck due to Ophel, the new restander that they got, along with their new double rare, which when discarded you can then Count Blast 1, social drop or deck for a precious gem card added to your hand. So obviously works really nicely with the Rideline, works with the True Hearted Ruby, discard, all in all really solid card. As for Ophel, Ophel's got the ability of gaining 15k if you've Soul Blasted or used a Ruby. And if you've used a True Hearted Sapphire, Everlasting Sapphire, you can Count Blast 1, return the unit from your unit behind your Vanguard in the back row to the bottom of your deck to restand her. So she does become a 28k restand if you use both of the gems that turn, which is really solid. We do still include the old triple rare 2 copies for the fact of being able to do Ruby all of one turn is still really good. Obviously, with Ophel actually playing or Soul Blasting for Willister's costs, you can work around it quite nicely. We have got the new grade 2 in the deck, which is really nice, which puts the gems back from the drop zone to the bottom of your deck to give herself power, so nice little bit of preventing decking out. Could also change the old double rare Olivera into Katinas if you want to recycle your gems that way. All in all, pretty solid deck. Can't wait to playtest it a bit more. It's looking really solid from the support they got this set. We are now moving on to the new ridelines, however, and we're starting off with Fourtier. Fourtier is the friends mechanic. So if you've got all your units in the friends state, then your Vanguard will get to restand and do less drive check but gain 5k power. Obviously, other units do gain separate skills based on being in friend state. And to be in friend state, all you need to do is have another unit in the column, and one of the units has to have the friend ability. So with this one, we have got, obviously, the new triple rare one, which skill says when she's placed, you can count blast one, call a card. If you call a card, draw a card. And the called card's got to be a grade less than or equal to your Vanguard. So honestly, Cat Blast 1 draw a card along with the double rare that's where it says when your unit's placed, when your friend is placed in this unit's column, if you've got 3 or more friends, Cat Blast 1 draw a card. Really nice. So nice little generic bit of draw power in the deck. I have put in some counter charge in the deck in the terms of the new order, which is Soul Blast 2 to counter charge 1. Combining this along with Virginia, who, if you play the order, can then put herself 2 soul to then counter charge as well. At the end of the battle, she's boosted. And we then do have also the new grade 3 double rare, which Soul Blasts us a card at the end of the battle she attacked to then bounce herself. So you've got nice front row clearing. Try and prevent your opponent from actually nuking your front row with likes of Buff Sagra. And we do have a nice bit of power increase as well in the other grade 2 rare, which gains plus 2k for each of your friends. All in all, Friends is quite nice in the terms of support it's got, but we do need to wait and see how it develops with the next set, because it feels like there's still that little bit missing at the moment. And the other ride line we have got for this set is Herminia with the powerful side. Powerful is a really nice mechanic that works alongside you having 0 soul, and then with Herminia also needing you to have 0 counter blast for her restand skill. Her restand skill is the rearguards, however, not the Vanguard, but it's not too hard to maintain. We do have the likes of Signa and Naya to help maintain the soul of making it keep the 0 whilst still persona riding during the game. And we then got the on-hit pressure of Tirarez as well for that nice little bit of if you hit, you draw a card. We have got the Neko Arc. I can't quite remember her name, unfortunately, but she's a nice 10k interceptor for powerful as long as you've got 0 soul. And we do have the grade 1 of the ride line, which we are running 4 copies at the moment. Again, due to not quite got enough support yet. 2 Soul Blast, 1 Ditch card, draw a card, help us try and filter through our key pieces. Overall, really solid. We've got restanding booster, restanding the rear guard in front of it, massive numbers. Really can't wait to see how they develop this one further. And then to round up, we do have my 2 Kyrie lists, because it wouldn't be me if I didn't have Kyrie lists, let's be honest. First one up is going to be my Persona Ride version, because yes, whilst you've got the grade 4, there is still the grade 3 that got a lot of support in this set, mainly through the support of La Plume and Kinky. The Plume skill is when she's placed on rearguard circle, you can choose Aces grade 2 or lower from your soul and call it to the rearguard circle at rest, and if it's in the battle phase, you actually call it a stand instead. So this can be utilised really well alongside the Aeriths. So Aerith can call this in the back row, then this can then call a Kira in front of her, making it a nice 23k column. 33 on Persona Ride, so really big numbers. And you can also combine her in the early game, however, with Nanami. So discard her turn 1 for the ride line, Nanami will call La Plume back, and then La Plume will call Mion from Soul. So overall, really solid card. And then Kinky turns around and on place, choose one of the Aces grade 2 or lower normal units from your drop zone, and then put it into your Soul. So obviously this then refunds the Soul for the fact of La Plume, and your Soul Blast costs are really nice. You can cycle it out really well, because obviously Kyrie will then bounce back tan, so you can then do it again next turn. You can also, if you wish to, Cat Blast one and give her 10k after resolving her first effect, but honestly, really solid card. The whole deck's really gained a lot. Sweet X Sweet as well for the extra consistency. One thing I do want to mention, however, in the deck is Rhesus. This actually wouldn't be here if you're looking at the Japanese lists. More for the fact that there's a promo called Hachima Girl, who, when placed, gains plus 5k if you've got 3 other rearguards for the whole turn, so obviously it becomes 13k booster, which then does the same as Rhesus as such, but she's more the fact of you then haven't got to rely on bouncing this card every turn, whereas Rhesus, obviously, you need to bounce every turn. She's only a 3k booster on her own. Doesn't make enough warranting keeping her on the board. We do still include small bits like the 2 cards for the True Heart Ruby, just for that extra bit of draw power for the deck, and still do run 3 Ghosts in the terms of 2 Ingrids and 1 Eleanor's, just to keep cycling off the board and create 6 attacks on your Persona Ride turns. All in all, it's a really solid deck with a lot of potential, and I'm really looking forward to testing this even further and perfecting my list. Now we've covered the grade 3 version, though, we are going to move on to the grade 4 version. And the grade 4 version here I've got is a really teched out version, because we've got managed to combine multiple different engines in here. We've obviously got the basic Aces engine. We've then also got the Black Wings that we used to have back in set 1, with Amamiel and Faniel, along with the grade 1 Celestial and the Rideline, which will also take in the grade 0 booster from this turn as well, because it combines really nicely with Kairi's skill. And we're then adding the friend package in on top, because we've got the extra draw power. We're not using our Counter Blast, and it does help make bigger numbers. All in all, really solid deck, and you can keep bouncing, calling, and getting that plus 5k every single turn off of Kairi's skill. Still keeping with the Sweet X Sweeten deck, because obviously we need that consistency even more in the deck now. Personal preferences you can do in terms of changing here is changing Kyrie into the Shining Hands Celestial. That's more for the fact of you do have 4 dead cards in the deck in your PGs, and if you do hit one of those off your grade 1 Celestial, you do then play a vanilla game for the rest of the game. Yes, you can still hit it off Shining Hands Celestial, fix it, but then you could also you could swap out of Black Wings into White Wings and then screw yourself over. So it does come down to personal preference for that. For now, I have gone with the Kyrie because I do like it for the extra bit of aggro. I can cool down the Hopping Surfer and then Counter Blast 1, call a card, draw a card, and then bounce it off the Kyrie on the grade 2 turn for that extra little bit of power. But that is going to be it for the Lyrical Early decks. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't done so already, please do like, comment, subscribe. It very much does help the channel. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye bye!